Good day, happy traveler. Seven Continents Travel Agency here today, providing a review and an overview of a cruise transfer option for those folks terminating in Seward, Alaska, and needing to get to, well, many places, but in this case, we use them to get to the airport and Anchorage, Alaska. Just booked, just completed my first Alaskan cruise about a week ago. And me not knowing nothing about anything, I realized that I was in a bit of a pickle because when it says the cruise terminates in Anchorage and little brackets it says Seward, I just assumed that that wasn't too heavy of a lift. But on Google Maps here, Seward and Anchorage are actually about 2 hours and 45 minutes apart in ideal conditions, three and a half, to the point that when we had a 2:20 p.m. flight from Anchorage to Seattle, the cruise line wouldn't even let us take their transportation. So I had to find a way to close the gap. And what I chose was, Alaska Tour and Travel. Private transfers between Anchorage and Seward and Anchorage. Their contact information is here. Let's talk about how it went. First of all, calling them, made the purchase. They offered a 15% discount for early bird sales, but they would you need to call them to talk about those options to get there. And they were very pleasant to talk to. They contacted me while I was in Juneau just to confirm the driver and the pickup time. We had an 8:30 a.m. pickup time. And once we were in dock, here's the dock here. You will dock right here. I'll zoom in here. There is no customs because you do customs in Vancouver. Normally you do a little bit of a song and dance, but you board here and you walk into this little plastic thing here. I don't really know how to describe it. You just walk through this little area here. Your luggage is over here in this area. And then over here is a little kiosk. You don't necessarily need to go to the kiosk. I did a little later because all the instructions that told me was walk through here with your luggage, and we stood right here, and all the buses and your transportation should be waiting for you here, and they'll walk you out here. We got off at about 7:30, called the folks. They said, hey, go to a little kiosk in here. And so I went to the kiosk and said, hey, I'm here. It's important to note that they have a clipboard with a bunch of names on it. Those names are for people that have booked buses. You need to say, hey, private transportation, because they don't ask, hey, are you on a bus or is it private transportation? So it caused a little bit of panic as they flipped through the sheets of paper there to not find my name. And then they said, oh, you're private transportation. So at 7:30, they said, hey, just go out and wait, and all will be well. When I called the number, the dispatch said they checked in with the driver and we should be good for 8:30. We got a little closer to 8:20, and I went back in here and said, hey, I'm not hearing anything. Can we just double check that we're good? Again, I just prefer to be proactive. I knew that, we had a little bit of a drive ahead of us. So I went back to the kiosk here, and again, forgot to mention that was private transportation. A little bit of confusion because I wasn't on the bus list. And then a lady walked out. There was a van that was sitting right here, and it was just sitting there. And somebody was in it. And a lady walks out there, points to me, and that was the driver. So anyway, pro tip: go to the kiosk. You are private transportation, and that if I would have mentioned that would have helped. That helped speed things along. Otherwise, once we got on there, it was a great seamless process. There's 2 different seasons in Alaska. We discovered there is winter and then there is construction season. We did not get impacted by anything significantly. We left at 8:30. We ended up at the airport, just shy of about 11:15. It was 2 hours and 45 minutes in a van. The van held 8 of us. The van held 14 pieces of luggage, and the lady that was driving it, I don't know, some of these luggages were about as heavy as her, so we assisted. But otherwise, your drive goes through here, You end up, you drive around the bay, very scenic, very, very fantastic. And it went about as well as we could have hoped. And, it worked. One final note about the airport. If you're familiar with Atlanta or Seattle, some of the lower 48, Anchorage has a bunch of people coming in from Whittier and Seward, as well as other folks just leaving. It was a small airport, as I probably imagined in my head. Getting to the airport 3 hours early was about the right time because the line for security was long. It took us maybe 45 minutes to check our bags and to get through security, which isn't bad. It's just Atlanta, Jackson, Hartsfield time, and I'm familiar with that. So that's make sure you give yourself time in that regard. And the travel times for bus is 3 hours, a little longer for train. But again, if you're booking an evening flight, flights from Anchorage to Seattle, on Delta anyway, there was a flight that left at 2:20, and then there was a flight that left at 7:30. So that was a 5-hour delay. Just 2:20 seemed quite doable. I think I would do it again, especially using this company. I would do it again. So anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. It worked. A little bit of elbow grease getting in there and just talking to people. Be proactive. Use that kiosk. And this absolutely worked for us. Party of 8. It was about $1,000, and that did not include tip. But our cruise line was charging $200 per person, a little north of $200 per person actually, to make the one-way transfer. So a little bit cheaper than using the bus and a little bit faster. So I hope this helped you. And until the next video, I hope you travel safely.